Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the final witness for defendant Donald Trump of two. One was just sort of a paralegal to set up something. But the other is Robert Costello. Do you remember him? We heard about him in Cohen's testimony because he was a lawyer who was making overtures to Cohen for Cohen to retain him, Costello. And Costello was pretty aggressive about it and suggested, because of Costello's relationship to Rudy Giuliani and Rudy Giuliani's relationship with Donald Trump, it would be a good thing for Cohen to retain him. And the suggestions were pretty express that he would keep a pipeline to Trump, and that would all be to the good. He made some really of the most outrageous statements we heard in the trial, that including "you have friends and you should sleep well tonight," etc. So literally trying to be a channel to Cohen, and as trying to retain him. The flirtation with retention goes on for a long time and never happens. Cohen eventually is very justifiably uneasy that Costello is going to be improperly, lawyers may never do this, but nevertheless, giving all sorts of information to Giuliani and Trump. And this was after Cohen's already had the search served on him, and it would have been, that he is now adverse to Trump, and you can't have a lawyer who's trying to, look out for Donald Trump's interest and leak information to the other side. So that was a very sort of Goodfellas moment, the biggest in the trial. And now the defense, they talked about, calling Donald Trump. That always was Littman axiom number one. He will not testify. And yes, he did not testify. And they talked about calling someone who'd worked with Cohen on a campaign diversity committee. But in the end, they go for Costello. And it was just really, really crazy. I've never seen anything like this in a courtroom from a witness. I've seen a little from Bush lawyers, but Costello takes the stand and they start trying to get in stuff that is really improper. Under the rules of evidence, Costello served only one purpose, and that was there were a couple specific statements that Cohen had made that he could contradict, including, importantly, that he had Trump had done all these things, because at the time, and this was, remember, before he had really, decided he had to, as he put it, stop lying for Mr. Trump. He was saying, I have nothing on him. And he said that to Costello, and that's inconsistent with what he was saying on the stand. And there were two like that. And that's proper impeachment. You just said today that it was raining on Tuesday. Well, here's someone to testify. You told him it was sunny on Tuesday. That's a very concrete, specific thing, and has rules of how you can do it. But what you can't do is, try to use that to kind of leverage general commentary on how honest Cohen was, or how scared he was, or the different things he was saying. It was very discreet, but they tried repeatedly to sneak in stuff, and they were caught repeatedly, and objections were sustained. And Costello, on the witness stand, is saying, like, Jesus, about and rolling his eyes and that sort of thing. And Merchan sounds like he handled it. I was not in court for this. He handled it beautifully. He calmly, but very importantly, I think that at least a couple of the comments and, editorial gestures and asides from Costello, the jury picked up on. And then the jury was cleared. Merchan, cleared him from the room. And certainly there'd have been a lot of tongue wagging on what's going on. And if a few jurors had noticed this, that would have spread like wildfire, and they would know that a jackass is on the bench, is on the witness stand. In fact, it was even worse, because after he left, Then Merchan started, I want to talk to you about decorum in this courtroom. If you object to something, you don't say it. You don't say geez. You don't say strike. I'm the one who does the striking. And then it appears that Costello, in response to this, was giving him the old mob stare down. And he says, "Are you staring me down right now?" Clears the courtroom now of everyone, including the press. That must have been quite the scene. And then, totally slaps him around and tells him, to straighten up, and then says this is contemptuous, turns to the lawyers for Trump, says, "I'm going to strike his whole testimony." Costello says, "Can I say something or explain?" And Merchan was, "No, this is not a conversation," etc. And so he really shredded him. Again, as I say, I've seen lawyers amateurishly, react to things. Witnesses, it's hard to remember nothing this blatant and mob-like. And the guy's a lawyer. He's, a combination of thug and imbecile. But so anyway, I think the most important point here, one, it's totally novel and crazy. Two, the company Trump keeps, the mob boss analogy holds. But then three, I think probably this gets to the jury and redounds very badly against Trump. This is his one witness, and he's a total jackass, I think is the right term. So this morning, as they finished up Costello's testimony, he was apparently slightly grumbly and sarcastic, at least with the prosecution. And then, as before, the defense tried to end with a little bit of a flourish, but it was an objection sustained, and then he sits down. So the testimony did very little. It did show that Cohen had been singing a different tune, but he had said that on his direct, he had been totally for Trump and loyal and lying and bullying, all of those things, until he decided not to be. So that doesn't pack that big a punch. And the real question is whether the jury ignores it or really holds it against and, actually adds to the case against Donald Trump that his one witness is far from the paragon of the rule of law and truthful testimony. So that we'll see. But then after he leaves the stand and the defense rests with a, fairly unimpressive kind of presentation. And then we learn, they don't announce it, they tease it all the way, that Trump, of course, is not going to testify, and boom, evidence is over. I'll have another YouTube shortly, just telling you where we are and what's coming next. But testimony is done in New York versus Trump. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.